Welcome back to Crop Chop and Grow. I'm Joe. Today we're going to be taking a look at the outside garden, the end of July walkthrough. Let's hop into it. Alright guys, so before we jump out into the garden, I just have to say, man, I did so much cutting down of things and replanting of other things so we could get ready for the fall. And I want to preface that because it doesn't look good out there. And I know everybody wants to have the most beautiful gardens in the world and stuff like that, but this is the reality. Sometimes it gets away from you. Sometimes you get a bunch of rain, then it gets really hot and dry. I don't have any drip irrigation. I water by hand with my hose and everything like that, and I go out there and I'm not super happy with everything that we did, but I'm feeling really positive about a lot of things that we put into the ground now recently and everything that's coming out now, because the tomatoes were looking really, really good. The potatoes were looking really, really good. We got a bunch of squash. There's just a lot of harvest that we went through and stuff. So if you guys want, grab a water, coffee, tea, whatever your beverage of choice is, sit back and relax and enjoy the end of July garden walkthrough. Alright guys, so this is the end of July garden walkthrough. Everything is looking so gorgeous in here. We changed a lot. We planted a lot more. I'll explain everything in the video. We're going to go from this side here and go all the way to over there with the last bed in the corner. So we're going to start over here. Still got our berries doing pretty good. We got our strawberries here. We got an ever-bearing and a June-bearing. We have a little tiny blueberry plant that's kind of turning around. This is one that was like from Home Depot or Lowe's or kind of like the big box stores. Those are like the ones that you would get from there. It took forever for anything to grow. We got a little baby pepper hanging out in there. We got a little baby tomato plant hanging out in here. We got little bitty peppers hanging out over here as well. Our melon plants are not really doing much of anything, to be honest with you guys. Definitely gonna grow those differently next year. We got a beautiful beefsteak tomato right here. We got two more peppers kind of hanging out behind it. Something got to that. I didn't see that before. Something ate that for sure. We're gonna ignore these. We're gonna move on to the berry plants. We got some nice, beautiful raspberries right here. We got some blackberries growing down there. Blueberry, both of those are kind of like not doing so good. I don't know what's really happening with them, but I feel like everything will turn around maybe next year is what I'm hoping. We'll see. We got our fig tree right here, growing some figs on it, looking pretty decent, but none of them have gotten any larger than kind of like a marble kind of size. So I'm really wondering if that one's going to make it or if this is just going to kind of die. I'm not really sure. I don't think it'll die, but I don't think any of these will actually produce anything. We'll have to wait and see. This is the other little fig tree looking absolutely beautiful. Grew a lot since we planted it in the beginning of this year. It's looking really, really nice, really healthy. This used to be a tomato plant here. We cut this down. Why? Because it just absolutely wasn't doing anything. The tomatoes were this big, but it was supposed to be an early girl. It just, I don't know, maybe the seeds weren't really that good. There were old seeds. This tomato plant, that tomato plant, and this one that was in here, I planted well before anything else. And these two got off to a really good start and they're looking pretty good. This is a Cherokee Purple. The other one's a beefsteak. This one was an early girl or a Wisconsin 55, I think it was. But either way, the tomatoes just weren't doing anything. So I was like, you know what, let's cut it down. We do have some purple basil in here, which is not looking great either. And some peppers, which are kind of taking over. So hopefully we'll just let the peppers do its thing. We do got another pepper in here and also a beautiful Cherokee Purple tomato and also some purple basil here that looks like it's going to bolt soon. I'm not sure exactly what I did wrong with that, but the rest of the basil that we got looks really, really good, and I'll show you that in a second. But before we do that, let's jump into this right here. We had garlic in here. I pulled all the garlic out. All the garlic that we got weren't really that big. They were maybe this big or so. What I did basically was tear everything out of here and we planted some beans in here, some bush beans. I think we did 12. We did 4 across and we did 4 rows of 4. 4 times 4 is what? So what we did was planted basically 4 rows of 4. So we're gonna get basically 16 green bean plants coming out of this right here. Hopefully that works out. It might be a little tight. I'm thinking it's gonna be kind of like a big bushy green bean bush, but I kind of dig that, and I really want it to kind of take over and we'll have a surplus of green beans. That would be great. All right, if you guys can see the corn, there isn't any. I don't know what happened. Everybody keeps telling me to wait, they're gonna come, the corn's gonna pop out, but I haven't seen anything. We did have a bunch of aphids on these, but we got rid of them, but I'm not really sure if that caused anything or did not cause anything. But they're pretty big. I mean, compared to me, Am I zoomed out all the way? I think so. Compared to me, I mean, it's like almost chest height. So it's looking really, really good. Minus the corn. We're gonna move on to the pumpkins right here. If you guys remember the giant pumpkin that was here, it had a squash vine borer inside of it. My girlfriend actually took the squash vine borer out and we cut it in the middle of the plant basically, because if you guys don't know, pumpkins basically root every few nodes. So from that point onwards is that giant pumpkin, but it's not really doing too much. None of these are really doing too much. I'm kind of waiting for all the pumpkins to appear, but they're nowhere to be found just yet. But we got a lot of growth happening, which is really, really beautiful. We got some green bean plants in here that are very small. We got eaten by a rabbit basically for some of these and some of the onions, which is funny because I don't think rabbits are supposed to like onions, but I saw one eating them anyway, you know. I guess they're just gonna eat whatever they want. We got a butternut squash right here looking pretty decent. I put a tomato cage in there so it would keep it upright. It's been a lot better off since then. I think the trick to these, any kind of squash really, is to keep it vertical, obviously, but I didn't really know that, so we didn't really keep it vertical for too long and it wasn't doing anything. Same thing here, this is a yellow summer squash, a zucchini, whatever you guys wanna call it. We got a few percolating right there, but nothing really too big right now. You guys can see how it was kind of like leaning over and I put the tomato cage on it and now it's going straight up, which is great. That's exactly what we want to see. Unless you want to see a plant kind of double over your bed, which is not great. Sometimes it still works, but it's not fantastic. Moving over to the tomatoes. We have a lot of stuff growing on over here and all of it's leaning that way, which is not great. We got a lot of cherry tomatoes coming through. We picked a ton of them and they're really, really sweet. We picked a ton of them. We kind of lollipopped it up the plant just to keep most of the growth going. I topped a lot of the nodes at the top just to stop all the growth from growing, but it's still going for some reason. All of these are just, they're just coming out of nowhere. So absolutely gorgeous. Sun Gold's like one of my favorite cherry tomato plants, looking very, very beautiful. We got a ton of tomatoes off of it. I'm thinking at least 50 to 100 at this point, but we're still going. We still got all these vines coming off, so we're probably going to be going until the end of fall. We got our Cherokee Purple, we got our San Marzano, and another Cherokee Purple. Look at the size of these tomatoes, guys. Like, that's a pretty decent tomato right there, but they're all still pretty green. None of them have really blushed too much. Like, definitely the Cherokee Purple tomatoes haven't blushed yet. We haven't gotten any of those yet, which I'm really excited to cut one of them down at some point. We have got a few of the San Marzano tomatoes. This one's starting to blush right here, but it's not really red or any kind of pink yet, so we're still going to wait on that. But those are ones that we haven't gotten too many of, and we're waiting for those for sauce. We've been itching to make sauce, and it's going to be really, really good with those tomatoes. And we're going to throw a few of these in, or make just cherry tomato sauce by itself, which would be really good too. Look at that. This is where some changes have been happening. We basically ripped out all the cucumbers because they all died. We planted a bunch of potatoes right here. We got red, purple, and I think Idaho potatoes or russet potato. I can't remember which one that was, but it's like a yellow potato, probably a russet potato. In this, I planted a bunch more cucumbers. Hopefully we get more before fall happens. I'm really hoping that we get some cucumbers so we can make some pickles. I got two varieties in there. One is Tasty Green, and then another one, I can't remember the name, but it was specifically for pickling. So I think we got one cucumber for eating and then one cucumber for pickling, which would be really cool. And hopefully with the earth box here, I can keep the reservoir kind of full and we can just like trellis everything up and it won't run out of water or anything like that. That was my problem before, was that it's on super hot days, it just like dried out super quick and I wasn't able to water it with work and everything like that. It was just, you know, watering at the end of the day or trying to in the beginning of the day. It's not enough water to carry it through the day. And without any kind of like drip irrigation, this is probably the best way to go. Look at this crazy bed. Look at this basil. Look at this broccoli. Oh my God, look at that broccoli. So basically, I think I'm gonna have to cut this soon because we're getting some opening of the florets here, which you don't want. So we're probably gonna have to cut this at some point in the next day or two. We'll probably have this for dinner tonight, actually. That would actually be pretty cool. And once we do that, we'll have another node kind of come off on the side. We'll have some more branches, get a little more broccoli florets coming off the side, but nothing too crazy. After you kind of chop off the top of this specific variety, I think it's basically the end of it. The basil's looking really good. I had to top the basil a few times because it was just starting to bolt. So hopefully it just kind of gets itself under control and stops doing that. But I think it's getting a little too grown out of proportion. I think it's been a little too hot recently, so it's been wanting to bolt because of the heat. We got some shallots and onions in here. Little baby onions forming up, which is crazy to see. The shallots are doing pretty okay, I guess. I haven't really checked on them too much. They're not really bulbing up yet, so I think they need some more time. This one's turning pretty red. And then we got this pretty big onion right there. That's going to be a sweet onion. I can't remember exactly the variety. This is one that we got from, I think, one of the grocery stores or something like that. So not really too crazy, but it's going to be a pretty decent sized onion. And hiding underneath all of this is a beautiful pepper plant with some peppers on it. And this is kind of just getting overshadowed by this broccoli plant. So I don't know how giant these are going to get, but definitely some... Uh-oh. Did you guys see that? Uh-oh. Pepper down. Uh-oh. What does it taste like? Let's test it out. That's gross. In this bed, we ripped a bunch of stuff out of here. We had another squash plant here, bunch of green beans in here. We had turnips, we had beets. Beets never did anything. Turnips were kind of lackluster, but we pulled them out. The green bean plants, we got a bunch of green beans off of, but after we got a few kind of like harvests, kind of just died off. So we weren't really happy with how the green bean plants were going. So what I did to get ready for fall was I planted 2 broccoli plants, a kale plant, and I believe I sprinkled some lettuce and stuff in here. Now what's currently growing in here is 2 pumpkins on the side there, actually 3 pumpkins on the side. This is, I think, a pumpkin, but it's not doing too much, so I think I'm gonna pop that one out. So the 3 pumpkins here, black cat, I think that's another black cat pumpkin, and then I think that one's some kind of a sweet pumpkin, I believe, to make the sweet potato pie. And this is the granddaddy of all the squash that we've had. A beautiful, beautiful squash plant. We, I don't know how many we've harvested off of this. You guys can see all the cut marks that we did on it. We've harvested maybe 5 or 6, 7 squash off this. We got one coming. Beautiful, tastes amazing. I can't wait. We have one inside right now that I'll show you guys in a second, but we've been eating squash and green beans pretty much like most of the dinners that we've been having, which has been amazing to have basically homegrown vegetables like that for most meals that we're eating, especially coupled with the potatoes and stuff that we harvested. Man, we've been eating really, really well from the garden, I'll tell you. Obviously, it could get better. Obviously, we still have more things to harvest eventually, but this is the garden, end of July. This is a kind of like a turnover period, so it's not looking great. There are some positives, but there's a lot of negatives. But in the future, in the next few months, this is going to turn into a really big, beautiful garden that's going to have a lot more things growing in it than it does currently. And that's everything that's going to be going into the compost. And I'm sorry I didn't film all this. I did it when it was like kind of drizzling out. I didn't want to bring my camera outside for that. And there is probably a way that I could have filmed it from in there, but it wouldn't have been nice, and it would have been just one plain shot. But cut down a bunch of stuff, guys. It's a lot that I took out of the garden, but we put a lot back into it. Sorry, that was my squeaky shoe. We also planted some carrots and stuff, I believe. We did a bunch of stuff. We did more turnips and more beets as well. So I went through my seeds and I tore out everything that we had enough time to still grow, and we just started planting it kind of sporadically. But next year, we're going to get everything under control. We're going to do specific beds for specific crops. I think we're going to do a lot more organization, a lot more booking of what we actually have done, like written journals of everything that we kind of took out, planted, where we did it, and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to have a lot better of a guide in the next year to kind of reference from, because this year I just went blind the entire time. All right, that's the end of the July garden walkthrough, guys. A lot has changed, so much has changed, and I can't wait for you guys to see everything that comes through that we planted in the next month's garden walkthrough. Whether we do a mid or an end of month garden walkthrough for each month, I kind of got away of the mid garden walkthrough. It was just not happening. I was super busy doing other stuff, so I didn't get the mid garden walkthrough for July, but I did the end just because I want to see every single month for the rest of the year. So maybe we'll keep it just once a month. I'm not really sure what you guys feel about it. If you guys like it and you want me to do it twice a month, month. I'll make it a point to kind of get on it and do it twice a month. But so much has changed since the last video, let me tell you. And if you guys like the video, comment, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're notified whenever we drop a new video, whether it's vegetables, fruits, veggies, herbs. There's so much going on at Crop Chop and Grow, and I don't want you guys to miss out on anything. I hope your garden's doing well. I hope you're doing well, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Figgy wants to say goodbye, everybody. It's Figgy. Oh, hi guys, it's me, Figgy. Oh yeah, I want to go on top of the tent. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, big boy. Stupid.